Howdy gamers, and welcome back to another episode of Together We Design, the video series all about graphic design created by designers for designers. I'm your host Anarchy, and on today's episode we're going to be talking about burnout. We're going to be talking about what burnout is, how to tell if you're experiencing burnout, and if you are, how to combat it, and also how to prevent it as well. Burnout is really not a great feeling, so I would hate for any of you designers and artists out there to go through it, but it does happen, and it's especially relevant right now where a lot of people are cooped up inside and quarantining, so you may be beginning to feel like this. Please note, I'm not a doctor. I did take 1 year of biomedical sciences my freshman year, but that doesn't in any way or shape or form qualify me to give you medical advice, like strictly medical advice. So please don't just take my word on this. If you think you're experiencing burnout, whether it's severe or not, please take care of yourself. Please take the necessary steps and actions to try and help yourself feel better. And if it doesn't get better, please go see a doctor, go see someone about it. Just because it's not a if it's left untreated, it can get worse, and I would hate for any of you to ever feel like that. So what is burnout? Burnout is defined as a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands, and mostly this is related to jobs. Despite this definition of burnout, it can be felt in many different ways. An example of this using myself as a designer, burnout would be I get to a point where I just can't design anymore. Anything I make, I think is bad, and I can't figure out any way to fix it, and I just don't feel good about anything that I'm doing, and it would be a hassle for me to even sit down and design. And honestly, I'd rather feel like doing anything else in the world than designing. And if it's something like that, and you may be experiencing burnout, and it can be caused by many different things. Many people experience it from working too hard at a job or doing too much of anything, really, specifically. In an esports sense, this could be like grinding a game too much or too hard, or having super high expectations that you're setting for yourself that you just might not be reaching, and this is the same for art as well. Burnout has many symptoms, which can be physical, mentally, or both. Stress is what leads to burnout, pretty much, and these symptoms are all related to that in some way. Physically, you could be experiencing headaches, stomach aches, muscle aches, or pain all over the body in general. Mentally, you might be feeling drained or tired or like you have no energy to do anything or whatever it is that's specifically burning you out. Other symptoms could be overeating, undereating, losing sleep, avoiding whatever it is that's causing you all this stress, or when you do go to do you might not do it with the same enthusiasm, or you might just not do it at the same level that you usually do, or you might even feel negative towards it. It could also be hard to focus or hard to be creative with it, and that especially applies to art in that sense. It's almost sort of like depression, but it's related towards work or whatever it is you're doing a lot of. In our case, this would be art. Burnout is different for everyone, so you may feel a lot of symptoms or you may feel no symptoms or very little, but even the little symptoms that you might feel are worth looking into. So now that you know what burnout is and what its symptoms are, what do you do if you've experienced burnout or are currently experiencing burnout? My best piece of advice for you would be to, if you can, stop. To take a break, do whatever it is, but cease doing it. This is mostly relevant for grinding of your own accord. So if you've been in an artist way, pumping out a bunch of graphics in a short amount of time, or spending hours on it in Photoshop for practice or even for fun, and it's starting to take a toll on you, please just stop. Give yourself a break. Do something that's not that. I'm sure whatever you might be grinding for, taking a day off or a couple of days or however long it is that you need to feel 100% again, it will not make that much of a difference. It will be a totally different experience if you grind every day for Overwatch League and then you finally get it and your mental is destroyed because of how hard you've worked yourself every day to get there, versus grinding and taking appropriate breaks and off days so that you're prepared both physically and mentally to do the job when you achieve it. And I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad thing. Grind for what you want. That's what I do and many other people do. Grinding and hard work will get you where you want to be, but it's not worth making yourself physically and mentally sick because of it, and it's just not worth no matter how you look at it. So if you're not in a position to stop whatever you're doing, which a lot of times you might not be, if say a job is causing you stress that could lead to burnout, communication is key. Please communicate to them that's what's happening. Most of the time, people are understanding. It happens. I'm sure if you can't make a deadline or do a graphic or have to take less on your plate because your health is suffering, most people will understand that. If not, you might want to reconsider your employers because I don't know who in their right mind would want to continue to have you suffer for the sake of a job. Once again, it's just not worth. For example, if I, at Team Triumph, if I ever felt like I had to lower my workload or take my hands off a couple of things because I'm feeling badly and burnout could be imminent, we have other graphic designers for a reason. We're all friends, and I'm sure they would be understanding. You cannot be afraid to communicate because that will just make it worse for yourself and them in the long run. I would also try to devise a way of dealing with your stressors that can alleviate some of the stress feeling. For me, when I get stressed and I start to feel overwhelmed, I know for me, definitely playing calming video games really helps that I can just vibe out to. My personal games of choice are The Sims or BitLife, and more recently, I just bought Minecraft. I've been really enjoying Minecraft. It's very fun, very calming. Another thing I might like to do is watch TV or lay down and watch a movie or something like that. Another big thing that can help you deal with your stress is sleeping. So many gamers do not get enough sleep at night. If you're anywhere from a teenager to an adult, you should be getting anywhere from 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, and I can already tell you that a lot of people don't get that, and even I myself don't get that much sleep a night. During school, when I was still going to school, since I'm currently on coronation, I would get anywhere from 5 to 5.5 hours of sleep at night, and I could definitely feel the effects of it. I know when I didn't get enough sleep at night, I would start to get bad headaches. One of the other things to go would be my vision. I can't see when I don't get enough sleep. My eyes stop working. It does get kind of scary. So please go to sleep. Feeling well rested and having your mental reset every night with a good sleep will make you feel so much better. Take melatonin. Stay off technology before you go to sleep. Count sheep. Whatever it is, go to sleep. Otherwise, just find something that allows you to help your stress dissipate and so it doesn't build up and you can feel better. So now say you don't have burnout and you haven't experienced it and you definitely don't want to go through it. So how do you prevent burnout? Well, I'd basically say do the same things that I've said for dealing with it as a preventative measure instead of a treatment measure. Take breaks regularly if you've been grinding and don't push yourself too hard or do too much of one thing. And don't be too hard on your goals. Don't set a goal for yourself that you know you won't be able to achieve unless you do extraordinary measures. Be able to communicate your feelings and your health to other people so that they know what's going on with you and they can make sure to have some measures in place so that you don't get to that point where you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed. And also be sure to have something in place in case you're starting to get stressed out and so your stress can dissipate and won't be bottled up and lead to you being burnt out completely. This could even be a stress ball or something because I know sometimes I feel like I want to just my mouse. So that is why I have a stress ball or a stress cube in my case. I just squeeze it. So it sits on my desk if I ever feel like in a micro kind of situation, if I ever feel like I'm just like I have this ball or this cube on my desk. So that was definitely a more serious episode, but I've personally been feeling. Okay, we're starting it over. Okay, this definitely was a more serious episode, but I've been personally seeing a lot of people on the timeline going through some rough kind of feelings right now because we're all quarantined and we don't really have anything else to do but grind, and it can become increasingly stressful and unenjoyable to the point where burnout is likely. And I don't want to see any of you guys go through that. That's gonna be it for today's episode. I hope you learned something new. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to catch the next episode and more fun and exciting content from Triumph. This has been Anarchy. Thank you, and goodbye.